This video seeks to do two things. First, it will open your eyes to the hidden weaknesses women have that most men never recognize. And second, it will give you the tools to turn those weaknesses into strengths that work in your favor. Pay close attention, because what I'm about to share with you will change the way you look at women forever. Welcome. I'm your sister in this journey, and in today's video, I'm breaking down the top 10 female weaknesses every man should know. These are not gimmicks. These are not tricks. These are tested realities in the modern dating world that, once you understand them, will make you far more confident, secure, and effective with women. Now, you may have noticed that women seem like they're in control most of the time. They get the attention, they get the praise, and men end up bending themselves out of shape trying to impress them. But what if I told you that beneath all of that, there are points of vulnerability, soft spots that every woman has, no matter how strong, independent, or confident she appears on the surface. The problem is that most men are blind to them. They chase without awareness, they love without understanding, and they end up frustrated because they never learned how women truly operate. That ends today. Because once you know these weaknesses, you'll stop playing by her rules and start leading with quiet confidence. You'll stop reacting to her and instead become the man who naturally pulls her in. So sit tight, lean in, and let's dive into the top 10 female weaknesses every man should know. These will transform the way you deal with women starting right now. 1. Attention craving. Let's start with the very first weakness that every man needs to know about women: attention. Whether she's the quiet type, the extrovert, the professional, or the party girl, every woman has one common need. She craves attention. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying all women are desperate for attention in the same way, but attention is fuel for them. It validates their sense of self, it makes them feel alive, and it reassures them that they're desirable. This is why social media is such a powerful drug for women today. Think about it. Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat. They've all become platforms where women can get instant hits of attention from likes, comments, and messages. And here's the mistake most men make. They jump into this attention economy blindly. They give it away like it's free candy. They're constantly liking her photos, dropping compliments in her DMs, replying instantly to her texts, and showering her with praise. And what happens when you give anything in unlimited supply? It loses its value. The woman gets used to it, she expects it, and she stops respecting the source of it, you. So here's the shift. You must understand that while attention is her weakness, it becomes your power when you control how you give it. A man who gives attention sparingly, intentionally, and with standards becomes far more valuable than the man who throws it at her nonstop. For example, let's say she posts a new picture on Instagram. The predictable man will comment, "Wow, gorgeous as always," or "so beautiful." That blends him into the crowd of 100 other guys saying the same thing. Now compare that with you being silent, you don't comment, you don't rush to feed her ego. Instead, when you actually talk to her later, you might casually say, "You looked like you were enjoying yourself out there." That one comment, coming from a man who isn't always validating her, carries 10 times the weight. Another example, texting. Most men reply instantly and enthusiastically to every message she sends, thinking it shows interest. But women are wired to notice patterns. When your responses are predictable, you become boring. Instead, match your responses to your lifestyle. If you're busy, don't break your focus to text her back. Let her feel the gap. That gap creates curiosity and anticipation. When you do reply, keep it cool, simple, and direct. Instead of sending long paragraphs to explain yourself, send a short, confident message that shows you're not desperate for her approval. Something like, "Busy day, I'll hit you later." It communicates that you have a life beyond her and she's not the center of your universe. Why does this work? Psychologically, scarcity creates value. When attention is everywhere, women consume it without thought. But when attention is rare, they crave it and respect the one who gives it. This is why women tend to obsess over the guy who isn't constantly in their face. He's unpredictable. He makes them wonder. He forces them to think, what's he doing? Why isn't he paying me the same attention everyone else is? That curiosity is the seed of attraction. Now let me challenge you. Are you the man who gives unlimited attention because you're afraid she'll forget about you? Or are you the man who makes her feel your absence and then delivers attention like a prize? Drop a fire emoji in the comments if you know you've been guilty of overgiving attention. Don't beat yourself up. Most men have fallen into this trap, but from this moment forward, you're going to flip the script. You're going to stop being the guy who feeds her ego for free and start being the man whose attention feels rare, valuable, and unforgettable. Remember this, attention is her weakness, but it only becomes your advantage when you learn to control it. Don't compete with the crowd by overgiving. Stand apart by giving it with purpose, by letting her feel your silence, and by making her earn the moments when you actually give her your energy. That's when she'll start valuing you in ways she never expected. 2. Emotional validation. Men, let's talk about one of the most powerful yet overlooked female weaknesses that most men don't know how to leverage: emotional validation. Every woman, no matter how independent she appears on the outside, craves some level of reassurance and recognition when it comes to her emotions. This isn't about throwing her endless compliments or constantly agreeing with her to keep the peace. That's the mistake most men make. They overdo it, they try too hard, and in the process they come off as needy or desperate for approval. And guess what? That kills attraction instantly. Women don't respond to a man who seems like he's bending over backwards to keep her happy at all costs. Instead, they start feeling like they can control him. And once that happens, she loses respect. Now, let me give you a real-life example. Imagine she says, "I feel like you don't pay attention to me anymore." Most men panic and reply with, "Oh no, baby, I promise I'll do better. I'll change. I'll spend all my time with you." Wrong move. You just gave away your power. A better response would be calm, collected, confident. Something like, "I hear you. I've been focused on my goals, but when we spend time together, I want it to matter. What would actually make you feel that way?" Notice the difference? Instead of begging for forgiveness or instantly bending to her will, you acknowledge her feelings without compromising your masculinity. That's emotional validation done right. Psychologically, this works because women are wired to feel deeply. When you acknowledge her feelings but don't lose your frame, she feels seen without seeing you as weak. This taps directly into her emotional core. She feels that you understand her on a level most men don't. And here's where it gets interesting. When she feels understood by you, she becomes emotionally attached, even addicted to the way you make her feel. And that is one of the most powerful positions a man can be in when dealing with women. Let me give you another common mistake. Some men try to ignore her emotions completely, thinking that staying stoic makes them strong. She says, "I feel insecure about us." And they reply, "You're overthinking." Or worse, they change the subject. That might seem masculine in the moment, but long term it tells her you don't care about what she's experiencing internally. A woman who feels ignored emotionally is a woman who will eventually look elsewhere to find that emotional connection. The sweet spot, my brothers, is this balance. Acknowledge her emotions, but don't pedestalize them. You don't need to agree with everything she says. You don't need to fix all her problems. You just need to recognize the emotion and respond in a way that keeps you grounded. For example, if she's upset after a bad day, don't instantly try to solve everything. Say, "I get that today was rough. Take a minute to relax. I've got you." That small act of recognition calms her down far more effectively than you scrambling around trying to fix her mood. Here's the kicker. Women rarely forget men who know how to validate them emotionally without being weak. It separates you from 90% of men who either smother them with validation or deny their emotions altogether. This ability makes you magnetic. Why? Because most women are not used to a man who can understand them emotionally while still standing firm in his masculinity. So, when it comes to emotional validation, remember this formula. Listen actively, acknowledge what she feels, and then respond in a grounded way that keeps your frame. Do this consistently and watch how she starts to lean on you more, open up more, and even crave your presence because you've tapped into a weakness she can't resist. Men, if you're getting value from this, drop a fire emoji in the comments because this right here is one of the game changers you've been missing. 3. Compliments and praise. Men, let's break down another weakness that almost every woman has, but most guys completely mishandle: compliments and praise. Women love being admired. They love feeling desirable, and they love knowing that their man notices them. But here's where so many men blow it. They either don't compliment at all, making her feel unseen, or they over-compliment, showering her with so much praise that it loses all meaning and makes them look desperate. Let's be real. How many times have you seen a guy texting a woman things like, "You're the most beautiful girl in the world. I can't stop thinking about you. You're so perfect." At first it sounds sweet, but in her head she's thinking, if he already sees me as perfect, where's the challenge? Where's the mystery? Why should I chase? Overdoing it robs you of power because now she knows she's already won you over without even lifting a finger. Instead, smart men understand how to use compliments sparingly and strategically. Think of compliments as seasoning on food. You don't dump the whole salt shaker, you sprinkle just enough to enhance the flavor. A powerful way to compliment a woman is to make it specific, real, and unexpected. For example, instead of saying, "You're beautiful," something she's probably heard a million times, you might say, "I like how confident you were speaking up in that meeting today," or "That color looks bold on you. It fits your vibe." Notice what happened there? You're not only complimenting her looks, you're praising qualities, actions, or details that show you're paying attention. This hits her differently because it makes her feel truly seen, not just objectified. Let me give you another angle. Women are emotional by nature, and they seek validation for more than just their appearance. Compliment her on her effort, her energy, her uniqueness. Maybe she cooked dinner. Don't just say, "Thanks, it was good." Instead, try, "I like how you put thought into this. You've got a creative touch." That type of compliment makes her feel valuable beyond her looks, and that creates a deeper bond. Now here's the psychological side. The human brain adapts quickly to repetition. If you flood her with compliments every single day, she stops appreciating them because they become predictable. But if you drop compliments unexpectedly and in the right moments, they hit much harder. Think of it like a dopamine release. Sporadic reinforcement creates more anticipation and excitement than constant reinforcement. That's why giving her the right compliment at the right time keeps her hooked, because she doesn't know when it's coming, but she craves it. Another mistake men make is fishing for compliments in return. They say things like, "Do you think I look good today?" or "You don't think I'm boring, do you?" That's insecurity talking, and it kills attraction. Compliments should come from a place of abundance and self-confidence, not neediness. When you give a woman a compliment without expecting one back, it shows power. It tells her you're confident in yourself and generous with your energy, and that makes her respect you even more. Here's a real-life texting example. Weak version: "Good morning, beautiful. I hope you slept well. I can't stop thinking about you." Strong version: after she tells you she has a big day, you text, "Good luck today. You've got the drive to crush it." See the difference? The first is clingy, the second is empowering. The first makes her roll her eyes, the second makes her smile and think of you while she's grinding through her day. So here's the bottom line. Don't stop complimenting women, but learn to do it with precision. Compliment qualities, not just looks. Compliment effort, not just results. And make it scarce enough that when she hears it, it actually matters. If you learn how to praise a woman the right way, she will start to crave that recognition from you, and she'll lean in to earn it more and more. Men, let me know if this hits home. Drop a fire emoji in the comments if you've ever seen how the right compliment at the right time can completely shift the way a woman looks at you. 4. Emotional support men. Let's dive into another powerful weakness women have: emotional support. A lot of guys think women only want the tall, rich, handsome alpha. But here's the truth. Even the most independent woman has a soft spot for a man who makes her feel emotionally safe. You see, women live in a world where they constantly feel judged, misunderstood, and pressured. From social expectations to body image struggles to relationship drama, they carry a lot internally. What sets you apart from the average guy is your ability to be the calm in her storm. That's where emotional support becomes a weapon of attraction. Now, don't get it twisted. Emotional support doesn't mean you turn into her therapist or you sit around for hours listening to endless complaints. That's where most men fall into the friend zone trap. They confuse emotional support with being a dumping ground for negativity. No, real emotional support is about striking the balance between listening, validating, and then leading her out of that emotional state with strength. A woman doesn't want you to solve all her problems. She wants to feel like you get her. She wants to know that when she's vulnerable, you won't dismiss her or make her feel small. Here's how most men go wrong. When a woman vents, they either tune out or jump in trying to fix everything. Example, she says, "Work was stressful, my boss was being unfair," and the average guy responds, "Just quit the job," or "Don't worry, it's not that bad." Wrong. That response makes her feel dismissed. Instead, the man who knows what he's doing will say something like, "Sounds like you had a rough day. I get why you're upset." That one sentence does two things. It validates her feelings and it makes her feel understood. Once she feels that, she automatically relaxes around you. But here's the game changer. After validating, you shift the energy. You don't let her spiral, you give her strength. You might say, "But I know you. You always handle things like a boss. Don't let one bad day knock you down." That combination of empathy and encouragement is powerful. You're not just listening, you're building her up. And that's the type of emotional support women can't resist. Let me give you another real-life angle. When a woman opens up emotionally, she's testing your strength. She wants to see if you'll get overwhelmed or stay calm. If you panic or shut down, she feels like she can't trust you with her emotions. But if you stay grounded, nod, listen, and then respond with steady confidence, she instantly feels safer with you. And men, safety is one of the biggest turn-ons for women. Not just physical safety, but emotional safety. Now here's the mistake you must avoid: becoming her emotional crutch. If she's constantly leaning on you, crying to you, and you're always there absorbing it without boundaries, she'll start to see you as less of a man and more of a pillow. That's why balance is key. Be there for her, but also maintain your own frame. For example, if she's over-dramatizing something small, don't just nod endlessly. Calmly say, "I hear you, but let's not give this too much power." You're stronger than this. That shows support and leadership, which keeps her respect intact. Psychologically, emotional support taps into a primal need. Women bond through emotions, sharing, talking, expressing. Men bond more through action. So when you, as a man, step into her world and meet her in that emotional space without losing yourself, it hits her on a deep level. She starts associating you with relief, comfort, and strength. And once a woman links you to that emotional safe haven, it's hard for her to let you go. So the bottom line, don't be the guy who shuts her down, and don't be the guy who drowns in her emotions. Be the man who listens, validates, and then leads her back into strength. That's emotional support done right. And trust me, if you master this, she'll never forget the way you made her feel. 5. Attention to detail. Let me put you in the spotlight for a second, brother. Think about the last time you were with a woman you liked. She came in with her hair done differently, maybe wearing a new pair of earrings, or maybe she even mentioned something small about her day that most guys would ignore. Did you catch it? Did you notice it? Or were you, like most men, so focused on yourself, your phone, or the next move that you missed the little cues she was giving you? If you missed it, don't worry, you're not alone. Most men overlook one of the biggest female weaknesses, their desire for a man who pays attention to detail. Women are wired for details. They notice everything: the change in your tone, the shift in your body language, the new shirt you bought. And because their minds work like that, they expect you to notice too. The weakness here is simple. When you actually do notice, it makes them feel seen, validated, and deeply appreciated in a way most men never give them. And once you make a woman feel that way, you stand out in her mind. Here's the mistake guys usually make. They go generic. She gets her hair done and the guy says, "You look nice." She shares a personal story and he nods with a lazy, "That's cool." Those vague, empty responses don't hit her emotionally. They actually make her feel like you don't care. Now compare that to a man who notices. She walks in with a new hairstyle and you say, "Wow, that style really brings out your eyes." Or she shares something about her stressful day and you respond, "So your manager dumped extra work on you again?" That's messed up, but I know you'll handle it because you don't back down. Do you see the difference? One makes her feel ignored, the other makes her feel deeply recognized. Let me challenge you directly. Are you the type of man who pays attention, or are you just coasting? Because if you want to separate yourself from every other guy chasing her, attention to detail is your weapon. Women don't miss much, and when they see that you're sharp enough to pick up on the little things about them, it hits hard. She feels like, this man actually gets me. That's when the attraction shifts in your favor. Now let's dig into the psychology. Attention to detail works because it taps into her need for significance. Every woman wants to feel like she's not just another option, not just another face in the crowd, but the one you're tuned into. When you notice something specific, you're basically saying, "I see you, I value you, you matter." That emotional recognition becomes addictive. It builds a bond where she feels closer to you, even if she can't fully explain why. But here's the power move: don't overdo it. If you're constantly showering her with compliments on every tiny thing, you'll come off as desperate or fake. The key is to be selective. Point out one or two specific details that matter, then keep your frame. For example, if she's telling you about a project she's working on, you might say, "You're the type who doesn't let go until it's perfect. That's why people rely on you." That's not just noticing, it's recognizing her effort and reinforcing her identity. That's how you separate yourself from every other man giving surface-level compliments. So I'll put you back in the spotlight. Are you going to be the man who misses the small cues or the man who trains his eye and ear to catch them? Because here's the truth. Attention to detail doesn't just win women over, it keeps them chasing you. Why? Because when a woman feels seen by you, she starts fearing losing that feeling. And once she fears losing it, she'll invest more into keeping you close. That's how you flip the game. 6. Emotional vulnerability. Now, I want to dive into something that will rattle some cages. This is the part most men ignore, and honestly, a lot of men even run from it because it feels uncomfortable. But it's one of the biggest weaknesses women carry, and if you understand it, you'll never see them the same way again. I'm talking about emotional vulnerability. You see, women put on a strong front in today's world, career-driven, independent, ambitious, but behind all of that, there's always a softer, fragile layer they don't show to just anyone. And the most controversial truth is this: even the strongest woman secretly craves a man who can handle her emotional vulnerability without judging her or running away. Here's where men usually mess it up. When she opens up about her fears, her insecurities, or her struggles, most guys either downplay it with a weak, "Don't worry, it'll be fine," or they weaponize it later in arguments. Both are fatal mistakes. When you dismiss what she's feeling, you make her think you don't get her. When you use it against her, you destroy her trust. Either way, you close the door to one of the most powerful connections you could have built. Now imagine the opposite scenario. She lets her guard down and admits she's scared about failing at her job or that she feels insecure about her looks. Instead of brushing it off, you look her in the eye and say, "I get that. But the way you handle yourself even when you're scared, that's exactly why I respect you." That doesn't just comfort her, it elevates her. You're not just listening, you're showing her that her vulnerability is safe with you. And once she feels that, brother, you've tapped into her deepest weakness. Let me challenge you. Are you the kind of man who can sit with her raw emotions without flinching? Or are you the man who panics and runs when things get messy? Because here's the controversial truth no one wants to admit. Women will test you emotionally, not because they enjoy the drama, but because they need to know if you can handle what's behind the mask. And if you can't, she won't trust you with her heart. Psychologically, this hits because women associate emotional safety with long-term desire. She might be drawn to looks or charm at first, but she stays invested in the man who makes her feel like she doesn't have to hide her flaws. And here's where it flips. Once she shows you that softer side, she can't help but attach herself to you because now you hold a piece of her she doesn't share with anyone else. That's why vulnerability is such a weakness. It ties her to the man who makes her feel safe in it. But let me be clear, don't confuse this with being her therapist. You're not there to fix all her problems or drown in her emotions. You're there to be her rock, the steady presence who doesn't get shaken when she's at her lowest. That balance, strength with empathy, is what most men never master. And when you do, you become unforgettable. So here's the controversial point laid bare. No matter how independent or unshakable she looks on the outside, every woman is searching for the man who won't run from her emotional vulnerability. Handle that the right way, and you'll not only see her weakness, you'll become her greatest need. 7. Attention and validation. Now we've reached the final piece of the puzzle, and it's one that will either sting or wake you up depending on where you stand as a man. One of the deepest weaknesses women have is their craving for attention and validation. This is the fuel that keeps their confidence alive, and if you understand how to handle it, you'll always be a step ahead. Here's the raw truth. Women don't just want attention, they want the right kind of attention. They want the spotlight, they want to feel seen, they want to feel like they matter, but not every man's attention holds the same weight. Most men go wrong here because they hand out attention like candy, liking every Instagram photo, commenting heart emojis, texting good morning every day without fail, constantly reminding her how beautiful she is. On the surface, it looks sweet, but in reality, it dilutes your value. Why? Because she gets validation from everywhere, her friends, her co-workers, her social media followers. If your attention is just another drop in the ocean, it won't move her. That's why she starts ignoring your texts or treating your compliments like background noise. Now let me flip it. Imagine instead of constantly pouring validation into her, you give it with precision. You don't like every photo, but when you do, it's on one where she put real effort into how she looked. You don't tell her she's beautiful every day, but when you catch her off guard, you look at her and say, "You know, the way you carry yourself right now, that's sexy as hell." Suddenly your words carry weight because they're not predictable. That selective validation creates an emotional emotional spike, and it keeps her chasing the next one. Here's the part most men don't realize. Women are biologically wired to crave validation. It ties back to survival, status, and belonging. But the weakness comes when they depend on it. And if you're the man who can control when and how you give it, you flip the dynamic. Instead of you chasing her attention, she starts chasing your validation. That's the real power shift. Let me put you on the spot. Are you the guy who's blowing up her notifications and proving to her that she's the prize? Or are you the man who makes her wonder, why hasn't he liked this photo? Why hasn't he texted me yet? Because the man who makes her wonder is the one who owns her attention. That's when her weakness becomes your strength. And don't get it twisted. This isn't about playing games or starving her of attention altogether. It's about being intentional. When your attention comes from a place of strength, not desperation, she feels it. She knows you're not giving it to every woman. You're choosing to give it to her. That makes it rare. And what's rare is valuable. So here's the final truth. Attention and validation are a woman's sweet spot. She needs it. She craves it, and when you learn to master how and when you give it, you become the source she can't walk away from. That's how you flip the script and make her chase you. So now you've seen it clearly, brother. Women might look like they're holding all the cards, but when you understand their weaknesses, you realize the power has always been in your hands. Every weakness I shared with you isn't something to exploit. It's something to recognize and use with wisdom. Because the truth is, once you stop reacting blindly to what women do and start responding with strength and clarity, the game changes. You stop being the man who chases and you become the man she doesn't want to lose. That's the difference between living on her terms and living on your own. So take these lessons, apply them in your daily life, and watch how women begin to shift their energy around you. Remember, the man who knows himself is the man who never begs for love. He attracts it naturally. Stay sharp, stay focused, and never forget, your value comes first.